Hello guys, welcome to MzansiOz Diary. My name is Connie. If you're new here, you're very much welcome. So in this diary today, the 9th of February, it is now 1:36 p.m. in Adelaide, Australia. So we're going to talk about this reaction from South Africa about Donald Trump and Elon Musk. I posted a video. Last video was about Gayton Mackenzie's reactions, another political party. And also I did sort of spoke about other things in that video. And I said I will put another video about DA specifically. We'll talk about EDA. But we're going to start with EFF. EFF is a response to Donald Trump about the alleged genocide, white farmer genocide, alleged what was the other one? The Expropriation Act. And there's already a development about that as well, because Donald Trump yesterday put in some, refugee to give to white Afrikaner. They're going to get a refugee to go to America. So their refugee status, because South Africa is doing terrible, horrible things, say Donald Trump. But anyway, we're going to, listen to EFF, far left, what they think about the Donald Trump saga, and then I'll move to DA. Let's listen.
The EFF has noted the threat by the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, who has issued a threat to cut foreign aid to South Africa and impose sanctions on South Africa for adopting legislation that permits the expropriation of land without compensation and implementing policies that addresses historical race-based inequalities in our country. The statement by Donald Trump is offensive and undermines our sovereignty, and is a reminder that our reliance on foreign aid and foreign direct investment surrenders us to the will of imperialists who use money to dictate the economic and policy direction of Africa. We want to make it categorically clear to the President of the USA that we are going to expropriate land without compensation and pursue legislative measures to do so, and no threat will stop us. His misinterpretation of the Expropriation Act, which is a mild and cosmetic intervention, is an assessment of a measure that is going to be pursued through the amendment of our Constitution as South Africans, and there is nothing he can do to undermine our independence.
Yeah, that was Julius Malema. So Julius Malema has always been consistent. He's a leader for EFF. EFF is an opposition. It's actually is the second largest opposition following MK Party currently following the last election. So then there used to be this third position. The first was the DA, then followed by EFF. Now, due to the MK Party, the EFF is the third opposition. So there's a lot of parties in South Africa. So they've always been consistent about wanting to change the constitution, because the constitution does offer some form of compensation. So they don't like the South African constitution currently says people should be compensated for if land were to be expropriated for public interest. So they don't like that. They've always said that many times. So that's no surprises there. So now let's listen to our DA spokesperson, Ocamp, to hear what the DA is saying about this. And that's very important, because this video is really about finding out the DA. So I did say to you that DA is actually using Afriforum and the Solidarity group to actually influence certain policies, and then they act that those people are acting independently, but it's not true. They're not. They're part of DA. Okay, this is a part of them in the way they deal with things, and so you need to look at them as such. There's no difference between the Afriforum, the far right in South Africa, that organization, and the Solidarity. There's no difference between DA policy and them. And this video will highlight just that.
spokesperson Willie Ocamp, and we're also joined by ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba. To both of you gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Mr. Ocamp, I'm going to start with you. How would you respond to a critic that says the Democratic Alliance is no different to Afriforum in this matter?
Well, Collier, I think it's firstly very important that we state to the viewers at home what's going on here. The President of the United States made this tweet because he was worried. He's got advice and he's worried about what's going on in South Africa with certain things that's been put into legislation. From the Democratic Alliance's side, we said from the beginning that we are opposed to the act in its current format, and that we will go to court to test the constitutionality of certain items or certain clauses in this act. I do not know what Afriforum has done in this regard, but I think any civic organization has got the right to speak out if they do not agree with something that the government is doing. And if Afriforum then speaks out on this, then it is their absolute right to do so. I think that they, in a certain sense, has definitely got reason to worry about what was done here. The Democratic Alliance made it clear from the beginning that we've asked the president to send this bill back to Parliament so that the clauses that there were constitutionality problems could be ironed out. The Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, also obtained a legal opinion, which he provided to the president in order to advise the president, but the president chose to ignore that, and that is very unfortunate. Yeah. This could have been sent back to the Parliament. Parliament could have amended those clauses that there are constitutionality problems with, and nobody would have worried about this. Unfortunately, the president chose not to do that, and we now have to make sure that we can show to the American government that South Africa is going to address this. I can assure you, colleague, that within the GNU, the Democratic Alliance is already addressing it, and we hope that we will get to a point where we can find each other on this point. Hopefully, the courts will give a judgment on the constitutionality of this, but we can also take amendments to Parliament to get this law changed.
So let me just refresh on you guys. This Expropriation Act is a 10-year process of consultation, and there was a submissions by the public, and they ended up with a draft. 10 years. These people were involved. Okay? And he's talking about constitutionality of it and whatsoever. We had in the videos that I posted earlier on when I was commenting on Sky News Australia talking about this, I posted a video then of Advocate Tembega who was telling us that the law itself is constitutional. Because remember, in South Africa, the law, if the law is not constitutional, the president is not obliged to sign it. That's the only reason why the president wouldn't sign any law in South Africa if the law it's not constitutional. And every law that passes put the both house of lower and upper house, the government usually takes that law to the Constitutional Court to clarify on the issue before the president signs it anyway. So the idea that they're going to test these constitutional clauses or whatsoever, they're going to do that. They always do this anyway. Even with Bella Act, they did that. They said Afrikaans is gonna disappear in school. We're gonna go away to the court. They always threaten to go to court. That's how DA works. But they're in government anyway. They're opposition in government. So this law went through past both the upper and the lower house of government. And under the South African Constitution, the president has a certain period in which he needs to sign the law, to sign any act, that bill to become an act, meaning it become the law of the land. So you can ask yourself, where have they been all this time? What they were doing all this time? But they're shifting the blame here to say, oh, no, they're just doing that. They're civil organization. They're doing that by themselves. They're not with us. But in so many ways, they are together in this. They are together in this issue, okay? This is them together. But they will come to the public and act like, oh, okay, that far-right group in South Africa called Afriforum, they work by themselves. They are not with us. We are right here, and you all go out there and trying to vote for them. What are you voting for? Are you really happy with your vote at this point? I'm just asking.
Yeah. Let's bring into the conversation Mr. Mashaba. Mr. Mashaba, is it indeed your view that the Afriforum group is treasonous in its actions here? And if indeed...
He's shaking his head. See, the confirmation that I've just said, they are together in this one. So is he a spokesperson for Afriforum or is he a spokesperson for DA? You could ask that question. Because they are together. They are intertwined, this organization. Okay? They work as if they are sort of, civil, whatever organization. In my view, Afriforum, Solidarity, they all need to be deregistered, as well as those NGOs that we've been talking about. They need to be deregistered and be banned from working in South Africa. This Afriforum Solidarity, it's a hate group. It's a hate group. That's what they are. They need to be classified as such. And if there's no law in South Africa that actually control this group, you people need to go back. Those parliamentarians need to go back and find one. Actually create one. This is a hate group masquerading as a civil society. So much harm is created with this stuff of misinformation and disinformation about Expropriation Act and about this white genocide that doesn't exist. When you look at the data of crime statistic in South Africa and look at how many people are actually in jail and how many you can extrapolate a lot of those data and make assessment yourself, that is actually pretty much a fake news, pretty much conspiracy. Okay, let's listen.
It is your view. Qualify that for us. Why do you hold that view?
Well, without any shadow of doubt whatsoever, and I'm actually quite concerned with the DA's standing on the fence on this very, very important the matter, including the U.S. government into domestic affairs of South Africa. I don't understand why should America be involved in our domestic matters. We've got challenges in this country dating back many years, including ANC's 30 years of messing up our country. So I don't really understand why should America be involved in domestic matters that all of us as South Africans, as we are aware, we are aware of and concerned about the position ANC is taking this country to. That's why some of us are in politics. However, we are not going to accept anyone unleashing fake news, going to lobby the U.S. government to punish our country when the very same people who are responsible for putting us into this mess, including, obviously, to mess with the ANC, conniving on this matter. That's why, for us as ActionSA, we take serious exception to this particular matter. Because, Goli, we live in this country. Have we seen widespread confiscation of any land? Are we, as South Africans, I'm not aware as a South African of human rights abuse of our white South Africans. This country is a country facing massive challenges of lawlessness, 80 people dying every day. And please look at the stats of the percentage of people being murdered in this country because of ANC misrule. But what they inherited in 1994, you cannot really effectively differentiate. But for the very same people, instead of standing for our country, they tell us, no, America is justified on the basis of fake news that they cannot give us of any evidence of widespread confiscation of anyone's land. I was totally a mayor of the city of Johannesburg for 3 years, and I'm sure you are aware of the number of properties are confiscated, took over. using the current legislative framework, because the Constitution adopted in 1996 allows government to confiscate land or property if it is for public good and the owner is nowhere to be found. So I don't understand the excitement, including putting our whole country at risk, like what has happened the whole day. So you can imagine the President of the United States, actually, as I say, acting on the basis of fake news being spewed by Afriforum, and this is totally unacceptable. I think for us as some of us as South Africans, we don't take kindly to this.
Yeah, you know, Herman Mashaba is leader for ActionSA. So ActionSA is center-right party. So as you've heard then, he was talking about 30 years of ANC failure in governance, which we all agree it is. And also the issue with hearing that when I listen to a lot of South Africans is that it is the way in which this group and the DA have gone about to go and undermine the South African government by encouraging another power, another government to intervene in South African political processes. It's about inviting Donald Trump into South African political processes through Elon Musk and Afriforum and all of that. That is the biggest issue here. When I listen to everyone is so upset and angry about this for right reason, because these people are in power, these people are in parliament. So if you don't like how things works in the government, you've lost the vote. You can't go in the back door and try to bring about the apartheid type of political processes, which is what Donald Trump is doing currently in the White House. This is what maybe through advice from Elon Musk, but this is how it works in non-democratic society. You go and change things at the back door to try and influence it because you've lost the vote. You don't accept that you've lost the vote because you don't accept that if you don't accept the loss. You go to the White House and do all of the stuff that they've did in the, Donald Trump supporter did. This is the same thing they're trying to do here in South Africa. They don't like the law. Fair enough. Nobody likes the law. Nobody would agree in any society, in any political processes. You can't make everyone happy. But doesn't mean that you have to do it and create harm by having this misinformation and disinformation and allowing someone like Donald Trump, Elon Musk, to be part of South African political processes and intervene in South African democracy and try to bully them in that manner. This is the biggest problem here. It's not Expropriation Act. It's not the the alleged white genocide. It's not all of that. The biggest issue here, it is this manner in which they did it. The manner in which they invited a foreign power to intervene in South African political processes. Hence is here, Herman Mashaba talk about treasons and using the word treason, that this is treasonous, the way they did it, Afriforum. But Afriforum works with DA, but DA doesn't want to say it in public. They do work, they agree in so many ways with Afriforum. This is them. If they say that the law, they're going to go to but why make the noise? Why invite America into South African political processes? This is the biggest problem of this issue. All right, let's listen.
Mr. Ocampo, do you agree that this threat is tantamount to bullying by President Trump of one government by the other?
Well, Tolly, I think firstly it's very important to come back to the statements that Mr. Mashaba just made. Afriforum did not ask the US government to intervene with South Africa. They did not ask the US government to punish South Africans. They've asked the US government to act against the people that are putting this through. So I think
So if you, Afriforum, approach America and say you need to punish South African ANC leader who are part of government, he thinks it's not treason. He's even had a look at what treason is. What is actually a definition of treason? Because really, treason is the intent, is an act that is intended to overthrow or throw the state or the government by unconstitutional means. That's the definition. Okay? Inviting someone from the outside to do harm to the current government leader, to current minister. That is the act of treason. So he's saying that because they haven't asked to do something to South Africans, who are these people who are running the government of South Africa? Are they aliens? They've gotten from somewhere. Where they got them from? They're South African citizens. They're ministers, but they're citizens of South Africa. They run the government. Any act, anyone that you try to invite a foreign power to act and influence the government or minister or punish the minister as a South African, that is the act of treason. There's no other way to define it. I mean, a lot of people say a lot about, DA politicians that they're not educated. They're not educated. I mean, you can't come to national television and say this stupid thing. They act, saying that they ask the America to intervene on the people that are making the policies, not the citizens. Who are these people? Are they illegal in South Africa? They're in government? They're South African citizens. Okay? So and they also are in government. So that means they try to act and influence and harm the government in an unconstitutional way, to influence them for the law they passed to both lower and upper house that you, the DA, you were part of.
That is very important. And again, we are living in a democracy where organizations such as Afriforum and various other organizations has got the freedom of speech that is protected by the Constitution to speak out. Now, I'm not here to cover for Afriforum. When you look at what has been done now by the United States president, it is clear that people are looking to South Africa. And the Democratic Alliance has said this over a long period of time. And I myself said it last week on your show there with Naledi, where I said that the world outside there are going to look to South Africa and they're going to ask themselves, are we going to up our economy and are we going to create jobs by what we are doing? And from the Democratic Alliance's side, we are clearly of the opinion that by signing this act into law in its current format, it is not going to contribute to that. And the world out there are looking at us. President Donald Trump has got an advisor by the name of Elon Musk. He is from South Africa. So the way or the days that we think that South Africa will be under the radar when it comes to the US government is long gone. They will look at us and they will ask themselves whether it is beneficial for them to trade with us. Let's look for a start. If you look at the amount of tariffs that we are saving by AGOA, South Africa exported over 125 billion rands of products to the United States, tariff-free since the inception of AGOA. And the agricultural exports to the United States grew with 16% per annum since the start of AGOA.
Yes, it's correct that the agricultural export to America grew last year. And now they're not going to have any export to America because of this issue that they, the DA and Afriforum, engaged in. It decided to go on the back door. But who's going to be harmed more? It is actually the farmers who are going to be harmed by any sanction or exports of, only sanctioned by America is going to actually harm the farmers. financially. That fruit and vegetables are now going to be available locally, because you can't have the fruit and vegetable somewhere and getting rotten. They have to be available in the South African market. That means the price of fruit and vegetable will finally come down. There's another positive side for poor South Africans, is that now they're going to be able to have access to fruits and vegetables that are cheaper, because they won't be exported to America, because the exports of fruit and vegetables to America grew by 57%, leading to high fruit and vegetable prices in South Africa. Even though the inflation has come down in South Africa, the fruit, when you look at that CPI data, you can see that fruits and vegetables, they're sticky. The inflation is still high for those items. And the issue is that it is actually managed by a group of people who are controlling the price, the market price, by actually exporting more they shouldn't export, by not making enough fruits and vegetables and maize available for local. So therefore the price will rise because there is a shortage of certain items. That's how it works. Economy, that's how it works. Have available stuff, the price won't be as much. Oh dear.
So the United States are clearly helping South Africa a lot. And I think when the President of the United States speak out like this, we must ask ourselves, what can we do to protect this trade that we've got with them? We do not get that from any other country in the world. The United States of America is giving that to us, and we must obviously look at that.
I'll ask you the question again, Willie Okamp. The question is, do you believe that this is bullying by America of the South African government?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't believe that it is bullying by America. It is the American president telling South Africa that he is not satisfied with stuff that we are doing. The Democratic Alliance has said from the beginning that we are also not satisfied with the act in its current format. So if other people come out, whether it's the President of the United States or whether it's you, Collie, or whether it's me, and also speak out against what we believe are injustices.
Injustices. Speaking out against injustices. What injustices is he talking about? You may ask. The law, it's meant to address the injustices of apartheid. And he's saying that he's not, the Donald Trump is not bullying South Africa. Oh, shit. So this is unraveling. It absolutely unraveling. This video, you can mark it up. DA is not going to be at 22 point whatever percentage next year, next election. I suspect they're going to decline by about half where they're sitting. This is political suicide.
Or are things that are not lined up with our constitution. That is his right. The fact of the matter is that we are doing trade with the United States. They are giving us a lot of money every year for PEPFAR and other grants that we receive from them. And we must listen to them. There must be mutual respect. That's absolutely important. We cannot do trade with any country in the world if they don't respect us and respect our constitution. Right. And that is very important, that we show that President Trump must know that there are avenues that we as the DA in this government of national unity will still take to test the constitutionality of this act.
The reason I ask you this question repeatedly, I'll go to Mr. Mashaba in a moment, is premised on the following. And that is that the Democratic Alliance, just ahead of the elections last year, you said that the United States of America, the government, must come and observe our elections. This bill, your disquiet is well documented around it, and yet it has been in the workings for the last 10 years. And so here it is now, it's become a law. You are in government. Is it not incumbent upon you to say straight out that this is bullying or an attempted bullying, at least by America?
Collier, there's a fine line between bullying and persuading somebody to do what you believe in. Firstly, when we asked the United States of America to come and oversee our elections, it was with good concerns that we've had. And having more and more observers in an election can only do good. So it's not a matter of we ask them to interfere. We ask them to come and oversee our election process. We do it in a lot of African countries where we've got a presence from South Africa's side. But what one person deems as being bullying, another person can see as persuading. So the fact of the matter remains, Collie, is that whether people deem it to be bullying or persuasion, the fact of the matter is that we are doing trade with the United States. We get a lot of money from the United States in the form of grants. And from South Africa's side, we need to do everything in our power not to damage our international relations with them. The utterances made today by Minister Gwede Mantashe at the mining indaba opening in Cape Town was uncalled for.
So he's attacking a minister of mineral, Gwede. The Minister of Mineral, he uttered a lot of utterances that I agree with them. Africa has a lot of minerals, a lot of resources that they can control the export of those resources in order to influence the market prices. That's what he said. And I'll play the clip. Let's listen.
Africa needs to assert its advantage and take charge of the growing demand. You know, I was listening to ministers in my cabinet who always worry about geopolitics. With this standing threat that, yeah, because you passed an Expropriation Act, therefore Trump will withhold funding to South Africa. And they said, let's not immobilize Africa. Let's withhold minerals to US. That is it. If they don't give us money, let's not give them minerals. But the reality, they take our minerals, but say we're withdrawing funding. No, we have minerals in the continent. And therefore we have something that we have. We're not just beggars, but we must just use that endowment for our benefit as a continent. But if as a continent, we are frightened, we fear everything, we are going to collapse, and will collapse with minerals at our doorstep.
To come now and to try and threaten the United States to say, well, if you're not going to, if you're going to go take trade away from us, we'll not support you when it comes to the supplying of minerals. It is not a tit-for-tat thing. I think we need adults in the room. I think we need to iron out our diplomatic issues that might be there so that we can work to the benefit of every single South African. If we are going to lose AGOA and if the United States are going to persist to not give the grants that we desperately need, South Africans are going to suffer. And to try and play a tit-for-tat game here is not going to work.
Mr. Mashaba, do you believe that, as Willie Ocamp puts it, we need an adult in the room? Do you believe that America's actions are those of an adult?
It's in fact a deep insult to me, and I guess to majority of South Africans, to listen to Mr. Ocamp talk about, firstly, about living in a constitutional democracy where we have the right of speech. Fortunately, spent more than half of my life where I could not defend my country openly. Today, I'm enjoying that right, and I'm exercising that right where Mr. Ocamp is not going to put me under whatever section. So we have the right as well. But at the same time, it's actually quite disappointing for him, being a part of this government of national unity, to not defend our country and allow bullying orchestrated by people with no interest or people trying to protect and defend the evil of our past. I think the question of land distribution, it's a very emotional issue in this country, and we must confront it. But we must do it in a manner that we are not going to allow anyone to bully us, to tell us if we don't do it, then they are going to withdraw their funds. And also to blame Gwede Mantachi, who's not my favorite politician. I think he has got a right to really defend himself. South Africa is not going to sit back and allow anybody to really bully us because we concerned about how strong the person is. It doesn't work like that. And as adults, let's sit around the table. If we are patriots, we love this country. Let us not actually promote fear-mongering. And that's something that DA has been really very good at. Unleashing for fear amongst our South Africans, dividing us along racial lines on the basis of fear-mongering. And that's something that, honestly, some of us don't take kindly to this. We appreciate the role that America plays in the world. Without any doubt, we appreciate them. But please don't bully us. And on the basis also on fake news. The thing is, Dolly, if there was substance to this threat by the America, one can understand. Here, we talk about, we're asking the Americans, oh, Mr. Okam, let him tell me what President Trump said. Is there widespread confiscation of anyone's land? Is there any human rights abuses of our white counterparts? Mr. Woodcomb, you've got to ask yourself this question in your DA and your Afriforums, because I think what you are doing to our country, unfortunately, some of us are not going to keep quiet about it.
Yep. So Herman Mashaba, he owned the first company that sold hair product in South Africa. It was called Black Like Me during the apartheid era. So he made his money during then. He was a millionaire, and during the apartheid, his company paid massive tax, but he didn't enjoy any services where he lived because he was a black man. So he started ActionSA, and now he's a politician, very much about, national security, management of the government management and fiscal management. So mostly center-right party. So you can hear the stark difference between the two people. The other one is the far right, Muskering, far right National Party. The other one is center right. So there's no doubt in this video, you can clearly hear the difference here, the adult in the room, and the Herman Mashaba comes here as the adult in the room. Because you can't really say that you would sit here and allow someone like Donald Trump with multiple felony who belongs to the jail and come in and interfere in South African government and influenced by the same people who are in government, the DA and the Afriforum, the Solidarity, all those groups that are actually pretending not to be civil society, but they're not. They're part of the DA and trying to influence the government without having a political processes, without going through a legislative way. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. So this one, there's something I've learned about this thing, this saga, is that it is now, telling us that, showing us who is the leader, who is the potential party to lead South Africa from the ANC. I don't think DA is. DA would decline. Already has pissed a lot of South Africans with this stuff with Donald Trump and Afriforum and Solidarity Group. Of course, they're now walking it back, but the damage is already done. They're walking it back, but the harm is already done. Thank you guys for listening. Until next time. So the next video would be, the joke about white refugees in America. So America is going to be the Americana. I thought refugees were people that actually in the war. When I look at it, people who are suffering from work from a war-torn country. I didn't think you can give refugees for people based on their race. That's interesting. Wow. Okay, let's go. See you guys. Bye.